Do you think we're getting dumber and dumber as a species because we're like getting more and more microplastics into our brains? And do you think that like leads to more likeliness with the herd mentality as well as social media that we're just getting dumber?
And social media's impact on intelligence. First, I should look at what the search results say about microplastics. There are several studies mentioned. For instance, Study 1 talks about microplastics causing neurological issues in mice, like decreased motor function. Study 7 and 9 mention microplastics accumulating in human brains over time, with higher levels in dementia patients. Also, Study 8 and 13 show that microplastics are found in human brains and may be linked to cognitive decline. So, there's evidence that microplastics are present in the brain and could affect cognitive functions. Next, the user is linking this to herd mentality. The herd mentality is discussed in studies like 5, 11, and 15, which talk about how social media influences group behavior and reduces individual critical thinking. Study 26 mentioned how social media can lead to mob mentality, where people follow others without much thought. So, there's a connection between social media usage and herd behavior. Then there's the aspect of declining intelligence. Studies 40 and 46 discuss the Flynn effect reversing, with IQ scores dropping in some countries. Factors like environmental changes, education, and technology are cited. However, none of these directly link IQ decline to microplastics. Instead, they point to things like education systems, nutrition, and technology use. But the user is suggesting that microplastics might be a cause. There's also mention in Study 16 where someone is concerned about microplastics affecting mental state, but the response there says there's not enough evidence yet. So, putting this together, the user is hypothesizing that microplastics in the brain contribute to cognitive decline, which in turn makes people more susceptible to herd mentality, exacerbated by social media. But the search results don't directly connect microplastics to herd mentality. However, they do show that microplastics are linked to potential cognitive issues, and social media/herd mentality is linked to reduced critical thinking. I need to check if any studies connect these dots. From the search results, there's no study that directly links microplastics to herd mentality. Herd mentality is more associated with social media and psychological factors, as seen in studies 5, 11, 26. The cognitive decline from microplastics might make people less able to think critically, which could make them more prone to herd behavior. But this is a speculative connection. Also, the IQ decline studies don't mention microplastics as a cause. They suggest environmental factors, education, technology, etc. So, the link between microplastics and IQ decline isn't established in the provided sources, though microplastics are a concern for brain health. In conclusion, while microplastics are found in brains and might affect cognition, and social media contributes to herd mentality, the direct connection between microplastics causing herd mentality or overall species intelligence decline isn't proven. The answer should present the evidence for each factor and note that the connection is still under research.
Recent scientific findings reveal concerning trends about environmental and technological factors potentially impacting human cognition. While direct causal links remain under investigation, emerging evidence highlights three interconnected phenomena: the accumulation of microplastics in brain tissue, measurable declines in certain cognitive skills, and social media's amplification of herd mentality behaviors. 1. Bioaccumulation in brains. Multiple studies detected microplastics in human brains at concentrations 50% higher in 2024 than 2016 samples, with dementia patients showing 3-5x higher levels than controls. Particles, 1 mmHg, were found embedded in brain tissue, potentially disrupting cellular function. 2. Experimental evidence. Mice exposed to microplastics developed dementia-like symptoms and blood vessel blockages resembling car crashes in brain capillaries, polystyrene particles, reduced glial fibrillary. Acidic protein GFAP levels, a biomarker linked to early Alzheimer's disease. 3. Mechanistic concerns. Immune cells engulfing microplastics become misshapen, obstructing microvasculature, potential inflammatory responses, and oxidative stress in neural tissue. Multiple studies document IQ decreases in developed nations since the 1990s. Norwegian conscripts, 7-point drop per generation since 1975. U.S. scores, 2-point decline in logic vocabulary domains, 2006-2018. French, Danish studies, 3-4-point declines. Proposed environmental contributors include reduced complex problem-solving in service-based economies, smartphone dependency impairing working memory, nutritional changes and air pollution. 1. Neurological conditioning. Adolescents checking social media, day, developed hypersensitive ventral striatum responses to peer feedback. Heavy users show reduced gray matter in amygdala, ACC regions governing emotional regulation. 2. Cognitive impacts. 57% decline in attention spans, 2000-2023. Linked to media multitasking. 30% decrease in critical thinking accuracy when exposed to misleading posts. 3. Herd behavior mechanisms. Normative social influence. 68% of users admit posting content primarily for validation. Informational cascades. Viral misinformation spreads 6x faster than factual content. While no studies directly link microplastics to herd mentality, potential synergies emerge. 1. Cognitive load theory. Microplastic-induced neural inflammation could exacerbate social media's attention fragmentation. 2. Dual process impairment. System 1, intuitive. Thinking dominates when System 2, analytical, resources are depleted. Plastic additives like BPA, BPF alter dopamine signaling, potentially increasing impulsivity. 3. Environmental feedback loop. Rising plastic production, 460 metric tons in 2023, projected 1,231 year by 2060, coincides with expanding social media usage, 4.9 B users in 2024. Critical unknowns. Long-term nanoplastics. Neurotoxicity at current exposure levels. Cumulative effects of plastic plus digital stressors on neurodevelopment. Cultural versus biological drivers of IQ declines. While evidence doesn't yet confirm that microplastics directly cause broad intellectual decline, the co-evolution of environmental contaminants and attention-eroding technologies creates novel risks. Prudent policy should address both microplastic exposure and digital ecosystem design to safeguard cognitive resilience.